Yeah.
So talking about expansion and adaptation, now, what's been, I don't know, what has it been like to see your community's health workforce strengthening an initiative become an evidence-based online program in Australia with now multiple established sites, because I keep these guys up to date, everyone, and influencing government programs like the New South Wales Welcoming Experience? Brett, I might start with you on that one.
Yeah, so obviously it's humbling. I mean, to see a small community such as Marathon, mentioned and accepted as a successful recruitment model for communities within Australia. But just to hear our name anywhere outside of Marathon is always pleasing. Most people are still trying to figure out whether we're a community or promoting running, right? So we're doing our best in terms of doing a geography lesson. But I think from my perspective, just as a recruiter, obviously, just to actually have our community out there and actually have an actual platform for it to be spread in terms of how the actual program is affecting not only our community, but hearing some stuff from your end as well, and some of the interviews and stuff like that I've seen online. So it's obviously humbling, and we're honored to be a part of it. So,
right. And Sarah?
Yeah, I think it's super exciting. And I one of the things that I found really, really valuable, Kath, is when I look at the work that you've done to articulate in ways that we have not, what the elements of the model are in terms of the attract, connect, stay, and the modules that you've formatted. I feel like what you have done is give language and structure to what for us began as a fairly intuitive kind of process. And I feel that it is brilliant that the model that you recognized as potentially quite powerful has been accepted in a way in Australia that I think, as an outsider looking into what's happening there, has seemed to have significant impact. And certainly it is my dream that we could convince a broader cross-section of communities in Canada to take this work that you have done and adopt it in a new way in the Canadian context, because we know that it can work. But the structure that you have provided for it, I think, makes it much easier for communities to adopt and adapt to their particular context in ways that can be both meaningful and impactful. So from my standpoint, it is really exciting to see this have wings in Australia.
All right, thank you very much. It's been delightful. Just so people know, Sarah said you should talk. Sarah and I were at a conference while I was on my Churchill Fellowship. She suggested I talk to Brett amongst a couple of others around what was happening. It was actually in her hometown, and Brett and I had a chat. And I knew when we were having that chat that this was the model that I wanted to bring back to Australia and find funding to pilot. So, long in the tooth for how long it's taken for it to get to this kind of readiness that it is now. But I think it is ready for other countries, other jurisdictions to look at and see how they can implement it. It's also, and I've been encouraging Sarah in our chats, time to look outside of healthcare. Healthcare, it works for more than just health workforce. First, that's usually where the biggest problems exist in rural, but there are many other skilled workforce shortages that we need to attract from out of region. And it does just as well in that space. And there are examples in Australia of that doing really well. So, yes, from little things, big things grow. And so, related to this, you probably already answered, just if you've got anything more to add, what key lessons have you learned from the establishment of the program internationally? Sarah?
Yeah, so I think I've touched on this a little bit, Kath, but just the value of the way in which you've broken this down into a structured, articulated, staged approach has been an important lesson, I think, because we have talked about in Canada and in the Northern Ontario context what Brett has done, but in a way that I think has been exciting for people and interesting, but not in a way that's been adaptable. And I think that the work that you have done, there's an important lesson for us in terms of project implementation and change management, that I hope that we can now learn from you in a new way. And I think the other thing that's really exciting from my standpoint is that although we had seen the benefit of the approach that we took in Marathon, there has been sometimes not criticism, but a bit of a sense of disbelief. People have said, yeah, you have Brett, but surely there's some fairy dust. Like there's something a little bit magical. It's got to have been the perfect constellation of people. This isn't really replicable. Like what you had is kind of a point in time. Kudos to you, but really, can this really happen anywhere else? And I think what you have done is prove the concept in a way that we didn't have the capacity to do as an individual community. And I think your approach and academic rigor really has validated what we've done in a way that we can confidently say, yeah, there was a really interesting group of people here, but it's not fairy dust. It's actually, it actually, if you take the right approach, if you come to this with a philosophy around how you want to support the community and how you want to support your healthcare providers to deliver for your community, good things can happen. But taking that structured approach and sort of creating the culture of attract, connect, stay in the community can really have benefit. And I think that's been a terrific thing.